Want to sharpen your game? Join the DFM Coaching Patreon for exclusive technique breakdowns and mindset training. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to Tapped In. My name is David Figueroa Martinez of DFM Coaching, and today we're going to be discussing the dirty debater concept. And so this is something that I have kind of mulled around and thought about for a while. And I presented that kind of approach to that concept last Friday, if I believe. I taught a class at Five Peaks evening, and it was a defensive or escape type class. So it was escapes and survival. And before I even started the class, the objective that I wanted them to keep in mind was defensively, you want to be a dirty debater. And Jiu-Jitsu sometimes, specifically early on, feels like a back and forth. It feels like a chess match, checkers match, if you're new to Jiu-Jitsu, but it's a turn versus turn. You go, I go. You go, I go. And it continues until someone wins. At some point, when you get a little bit more experience, it turns into a little bit more a muddied endeavor where I want to crowd you. I want to make you uncomfortable. I want to prevent your turn. I want to prevent your pass, your next objective. I want to ruin everything possible. And the easiest way that I can explain that to students is a debate. We've all seen them. They're part of high school curriculums if you want to be on that team. And we see them in politics. In a civilized debate, you get to make a point, and then I get to make a point. Sometimes I rebuttal, but either way, you get that point, and then the crowd kind of responds, and then I get to maybe make a jab back or a response, but it's a back and forth. Again, early on, that's what Jiu-Jitsu looks like for like newer students. What I want us to start doing is interrupting. Similar to some of the presidential debates that we saw recently or this past election cycle. You had one gentleman who was trying to live by that philosophy of debating the rules. And then you had another gentleman that understood the benefit of interrupting. And this isn't about politics specifically. It's a tactic that was used that was very beneficial. And what happens is if you don't allow the other person to make the point, they start getting flustered. They start getting a little annoyed because there are rules set that say, I get to make my point, then you get to make yours. And under those rules, the other person gets frustrated when the rules aren't followed. So if we're looking at Jiu-Jitsu in a similar way, where we think, oh yeah, we have to generate this move, it goes to flourishing, and then the other person gets to move. Example would be someone scissor sweeps. They feel the scissor sweep coming. They sense the scissor sweep. They're starting to get toppled over. They don't respond to the scissor sweep. They allow themselves to go to the back, and then they go to a guard that they want to play. This is very common in Jiu-Jitsu. We sometimes allow people to get their move off and then start playing based on wherever we land. While we're playing the game, it is okay to do that. If we're maybe trying to understand bottom, trying to understand the guard that we're playing, it's not genuinely helpful if you're trying to get better at Jiu-Jitsu. Your job is not to give them anything. Your job is to interrupt. So when they start to scissor sweep, your job is to regain your balance somehow, post a leg, jump up to your feet, post an arm, whatever, so that move set is not solidified and put you in a bad position. Too often we allow these things to happen. I don't want to say victim of that. I was in that thought process myself when I was a white and blue belt. I let too many things happen. And when those things happened, then I would be in a worse off scenario, and then I would have to fight off of that. When in reality, I could have interceded at any moment in that technique process and got myself in a better situation than if I allowed it to finish and then try to defend off of that. Our job is to create space when necessary, to block the things that they need, and interrupt at any moment. I want to get them flustered. I want them to get annoyed. I want them to get frustrated that they can't pull off the technique that they want. So as we do this, think of it as in minor interruptions. We can also think of this in the way of, which I've made a point before, everyone has a route home. If we're going to put it in concept of work, trying to get home, we have that route. My opponent wants to take the easiest route possible. They want to take the freeway, and they want to take the major intersections and routes because they know those and they're very familiar. My job is to throw up roadblocks. Every roadblock requires them to make a detour that maybe they're not familiar with. That's my goal. So when someone is in mount and they want cross collar, I understand that the route home is to get the cross collar, at least the grip. Maybe not the choke itself, but they need at least to get the grip first. So now I'm defending my hands or constantly guarding my collars. That's a roadblock. Let's say they get a little deeper than I'd like, a bridge towards the arm that's coming in. So if their right arm is cross-collaring and trying to get to my collar, I bridge to my left. And the bridge has to be strong enough that it forces them to be honest and maybe post a hand or an elbow. That's a roadblock. When I bridge and they have to post, the weight on both of their knees, one of the knees gets lighter. So they're both not even and are not both cemented to the ground. At that stage, I can now frame. It's another roadblock. If I cannot move them any further, I need to move myself away from the situation, so I hip escape. Another roadblock. And then I start formulating frames, a guard of my choice, or I get up if I can. My job is to elicit roadblocks whenever possible. It is not to allow them to get deeper into a position without answering something. If I let them get the cross collar, maybe I was lazy, maybe I didn't respect it. Now they can apply a weight down onto my chest. Now they can start getting maybe like a half choke, even without the other hand. Now it becomes uncomfortable for me. They settle and now it's harder for me to bridge. And then they start settling the other hand and they maybe position the hand in the collar or thumb in or whatever variation they like. Now I have to work twice as hard. The weight's more balanced. The attack is cemented. The knees are wide. It's harder to move them. So I've put myself so far behind the roadblock or so far behind the 8-ball that I can't mount worthy defenses, or they're going to be half-assed defenses that I'm hoping work or may not work. So we have to start looking at this at every situation. I have to generate roadblocks for them when I'm in a defensive position. I need to make them work or second guess things or decide that, oh, maybe I don't want to do this because he's going to do this. And every moment. On top of that, the idea isn't to be right every time. I get to be right just once. He or she has maybe 7 steps for a technique. And by that, I mean, they have to pass the guard, they have to solidify the guard, they have to hold my hips in place, they have to traverse all the way to mount. Once in mount, they have to stabilize their position. Then they have to get the cross collar, then they have to get the other collar, and then they have to start cinching in the choke. There's a bunch of steps in there for most techniques. And sometimes we look at it as, oh, mount to choke. But really it's, I got to get to a dominant position past your guard. Then I got to get into a dominant position in the position that I want. Then I got to isolate an arm or a choke or a grip or whatever. All of these are steps. And every step provides a little bit of a window for you. That is where you need to nail your roadblocks, where you need to create interruptions, where you need to be a dirty debater. That's where you need to start pushing back. There's going to be times where you don't want to push back. They have side control solidified, heavy. You may not want to generate anything there. Maybe you just want to hang out, catch your breath, ease into it, stay focused, don't panic, because you understand in order for them to do anything, they have to give you a window. That window might be they're inside, they got everything solidified, and they want to go Americana. What happens when you go Americana? The arm that's controlling the head has to get pulled back and go to the wrist. That's a window. That's your roadblock moment. So you start bridging into them. Hard, big bridges, and then you hip escape, get the guard back in. Same with, they want to pass the guard. So where are they going to pass? I got to make sure I got points of contact. I got to make sure that I'm solidified in that. If they start to pass, maybe they're knee cutting. Maybe I go an underhook. It's a roadblock. They have to take a different detour now. Once I get the underhook, maybe I can come up to dogfight. Maybe I can regard. Your choice how you want to tackle these situations. But a non-answer is an answer for them. If I do not respond in the middle of their attack, it's going to be so much harder for me later. So much harder. You have to heckle them. You have to butt in, to throw a jab, to create a problem. Your job is to make everything they have to do just a little bit more difficult. And those people that I train with that are so much better than me, I understand that they're going to get what they want at some point. I understand I'm not as good as them. I didn't have enough time on the mats, hours-wise, not years. And they're just better than me. Maybe they're bigger. Maybe they're stronger. Maybe they're more technical. Maybe they're younger. Doesn't matter. I have to understand, I'm going to lose this battle. I'm going to lose. I already know. But I'm going to be as annoying as possible during this endeavor. I'm going to fight an asymmetrical, I can't even say the word, battle where my objective isn't to win. It's just to muck up everything he wants to do. It's to throw a wrench in there. It's to get my knee back into position when he thought he cleared it. It's to start getting an underhook even when it didn't feel possible. It's to get on my side when he's trying to put me on my back. It's to bridge when he thought he couldn't get me to where he didn't think I could move. Those little things is like what a dirty debater will do. It's just enough to bother them. It's enough to throw them off guard, to make them have to think. And sometimes those days, especially as a hobbyist, 45, I call those wins. I didn't win the round. I didn't win the exchange when it came to submissions. Maybe he didn't get a submission. That's a win. Like technically and for the sake of my progression and what I'm able to do against someone that's so much better than me, that's a win for me. That's a positive. They should have been able to submit me and they weren't. Positive. And I understand the pro may not look at it that way. They might look at it, well, you still lost some points. I don't give a fuck. That's not my point. My point is I wanted to survive against a much younger, much more technical, much stronger, faster, more athletic person, and they could not submit me. I survived. I was healthy. I got to fight another day. We're in good shape. So start thinking about those little movements, the little things that you can do to annoy people. Be a little brother. And I know I'm throwing a bunch of little thoughts and comparisons out there. I don't care which one you gravitate to. I don't care which one you like. Take one of them. They're all the same. And at the end of the day, be as annoying as possible when it comes to some of these rounds where you know you're going to get worked. And that's the fun for me. Sometimes people get annoyed, and you could tell they're getting annoyed. Sometimes they'll even tell you afterwards, man, I don't know. I couldn't get past your butterfly hook. I couldn't get past your knee shield. Your underhook kept coming back. Those are good things. Get known for that. And once you get really good at that, what happens is you get really good at interrupting people and the people that are so much better than you, that those same tactics work even better against your own peers and even more so against the people that are not as skilled as you. So it's a It's something that builds interest and allows you to grow, because now you can develop the game that you really want to develop because you were able to make these problems for people and buy yourself time. Again, I hope this makes sense. Any questions on this or anything else, hit me up, dfm.2099 on Instagram and Threads. I also have a new Patreon page. All my techniques are going on there. I have a lapel mic, so the sound is great. I'm recording 2 to 3 days a week. That's anywhere from 6 to 12 techniques. We also have a tier for an extra podcast that's generated by Q&A within the group, suggestions by people in the group. So it's going to be a more intimate type of episode. It'll be generated by struggles that people are having within that group. And then we have a coaching platform. If you want your videos recorded, if you want one-on-one coaching and Q&A and suggestions and tips from me, that's available as well. Until next time, thank you so much.